He was a dashing fellow, a good dancer and sportsman, a consummately elegant dresser. His lifestyle, often quite beyond his means, was that of an aristocratic bachelor. Nothing petty or bourgeois occupied either his character or his mind. He needed solitude, time for his creative efforts, and his philosophical reflections. Once when asked if he had said all he wanted to say, he answered, "Yes, except I would like to have built a cathedral, a space for many purposes, maybe a convention hall." In fact, Mies designed such a project, though it was never carried out. It was the largest example of a clear span space he ever devised. Longer on each of its four sides than 2 football fields laid end to end, it would have had an interior altogether free of columns and capable of seating 50,000 people. Fortunately, when Chicago did build a new convention hall, the chief designer was Gene Summers, a former associate of Mies, working at the time with the firm of C.F. Murphy. Of this building, Mies said, "I couldn't have done it better." It is the Chicago Daily Center, designed by Jacques Bronson, another member of the C.F. Murphy staff. In the plaza, a boldly expressive Picasso bust is set against the rationally conceived structure behind it. Though Mies's early glass skyscraper was never built, it came closest to realization in Lake Point Tower, an apartment building designed by George Schipperwright and John Heinrich, 2 former Mies students. Mies liked the old saying, "I don't mind if my students stand on my shoulders." Mies and his older brother, Ewald, they had a lifelong close and affectionate relationship. Ewald was a tombstone designer of distinction who did the family grave. Because Mies in German means something like wretched, Mies added to the family name his mother's maiden name, Rohe, and connected the two with the rather noble-sounding Bonde. His native city named a street after him. Honors were bestowed upon Mies from all over the world, shown here with President Heuss and Chancellor Adenauer. He received in 1957 the most distinguished German order, pour le mérite. It was one of the 2 awards that meant the most to him. The other was the Medal of Freedom, created by President Kennedy in 1963. Mies was among the first recipients. Before the dedication, Kennedy was assassinated, and the award was presented by President Johnson.
Designer and master builder. He has conceived soaring structures of glass and steel and concrete, which once embody and evoke the distinctive qualities of our age.
Washington, the site of that ceremony, is also the locale of the Martin Luther King Memorial Library. It is one of Mies's most socially alive and humanly oriented endeavors. Once again, he created a vast and flexible space. It accommodates a wide variety of activities and numerous unusual programs.
If I had one wish only,
For the blind,
I would wish instead that everybody could understand one and another.
or for the deaf, the public library is a single, self-contained, low-rise structure, rather like the Bacardi building near Mexico City. The modular clarity of Mies's architecture works as well in horizontal form as it does in tall skyscrapers. Situated in the midst of richly landscaped greenery, the Bacardi is a corporate office building distinguished by a wide and splendid interior hall. This space is bordered by offices elevated to balcony level. The Bacardi Corporation has deviated from the frequent habit of big business to give the best part of its design budget to executive quarters and the least of it to the place where the work is done. The Bacardi plant next door is a compelling piece of design by the Mexican architect Felix Candela. It is an uncommonly airy and comfortable working environment. The place Mies himself worked was simple. His office took up one floor of an old Chicago office building that has the look of a warehouse. The office itself had a staff of 25 to 30 architects. Mies enjoyed discussions with colleagues and visitors. Although he only started to learn English at 52, he was able to express himself in a sophisticated and often humorous way. The majority of Mies's completed buildings were designed between his 60th and 80th year. After developing a project through hundreds of sketches, Mies worked with three-dimensional models in front of him, studying, reflecting, making changes. His creative work lasted up to his death at the age of 83. All models, here a project for London, were made in the office workshop. This model shows a portion of the Chicago River with Mies's IBM tower rising in the distance. IBM was his last Chicago skyscraper and one of his finest. It stands next to the Twin Towers of Marina City, designed by Bertrand Goldberg, another of his students. Mies said, "An office building is a house of organization, economy, and clarity. The space has to be flexible and bright, and must subordinate to its function." Indeed, these regional offices of IBM contain a complex of computers to serve the needs of the corporation's customers. From each office, there are stunning views of the surroundings. Mies was often criticized for the super scale of some of his spaces. This lobby may look extremely large. Yet, at 5 p.m., thousands of people exit the building. Then, the foyer is just big enough. Mies and the concept of a theater. For years he had given thought to it, and the result, though never built, was this project for Mannheim. A large clear span space, the audience seated on a freestanding structural shell that partially surrounded the acting area. 2 theaters back to back, no proscenium. The theatrical community of Germany was enthusiastic about this idea, seeing great potential for it for a freer dramatic art.